Hello and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Tuesday, the 14th of February. Wow, it's Valentine's Day. Who knew? We don't really do Valentine's Day in my house, so not a big deal. But if it is a big deal for you, then I hope you have a wonderful person with whom to spend your Valentine's Day. And if you don't have someone but it's a big deal, treat yourself. Go out, have a fancy schmancy drink from Starbucks, or go buy yourself a chocolate heart or some nice, beautiful flowers. Actually, you know what? Flowers are beautiful. They lighten up your room, your home, and they last for a long time. So why don't you go get yourself some carnations or something and remind yourself that even if you don't have someone specific who is there to tell you that they love you, you should love yourself. So happy Valentine's Day. I'm filming from a recording in my office in Vermilion, and folks have sort of said, when are you going to bring some stuff into it? So I have a picture. I have one over here as well. I'm not sure if you can see it. There it is. That's the icon of the Transfiguration, and that's a very cool picture of Jesus. And when you look closer at it, there's more and more pictures of Jesus in it in the picture. So the reason I want to talk to you today is to talk about what's happening in our world, what's happening with Canada and the United States, but particularly Canada. Of course, people know all about, hopefully, the big spy balloon from China that was shot down off the coast of South Carolina a week and a half ago, and the research they're going to do on figuring out what they can learn about what China was learning about the U.S. and about Canada, because it floated over Canada too. Don't forget that. Um, Canadians didn't make a big stink about that, the fact that it had been floating over Canada, and we just, okay. And I don't know that we really paid that much attention other than watching all you down below the border, paying attention to it when it came to your attention. But on Saturday, something happened that I don't believe has ever happened. Outside, when Canada has gone to war, has declared war, or has joined in the wars, um, I'm really rusty on my Canadian history, but I can't remember if Canada actually declared war in World War II, or we simply joined with Great Britain in the war because we were a colony. But our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, came forward and made the comment on Saturday that he made the decision to send up our fighter jets with the American fighter jets when NORAD recognized that there was an unidentified object hovering over part of Canada in the territory of Yukon, north of Whitehorse, the capital city of Yukon Territory. And it was subsequently shot down. Um, I don't know if Americans realize this, but maybe Canadians don't know this either, but we have Canadian members of the military working at Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado Springs at NORAD. And it's an important, because this is North American air defense. It's not simply American. And Canadians participate in that. And we, of course, have we have our Air Force Base in Cold Lake, Alberta, which is about 2.5 hours away from where I am, an hour and a half really from where I am right now when I'm recording this. And I was there just a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks, coming about 2 weeks ago, in Cold Lake for totally different reasons. But our Canadian fighter jets and American fighter jets scrambled to intercept this unidentified object floating around the air at about 40,000 feet, which if I'm not mistaken, could cause a problem for our commercial flight paths. So it's important that it be taken out of that space. And then when it was shot down by an American missile. But when it was shot down, because it was landed on Canadian soil, Canadian armed forces are looking for the debris and will do the analyzing of what that means. This was a big day for Canada because it was a day in which our Prime Minister had to make a decision about our sovereign territory. We have had some conversation, not on Church at Home, but in Canada we've had some conversation about the importance of our northern borders, and that the fact that Americans and Chinese and the Russians and others have tried to are planting flags on what would be considered, what Canada considers to be Canadian soil. It's not soil, it's ice, in the north, because that is part of our territory, up in the Arctic flow and things like that. We're pretty quiet about it. And we do have some icebreakers, I believe, that are going up there, and we have other assets in the north, and we have an incredible group of Canadian Armed Forces members called the Canadian Rangers, who I believe classify as reservists, and they are members of those communities who are trained in the Canadian Armed Forces, who then serve as our Canadian military in the north, and they are all too often unheard of. But they are our presence on the front line of what is becoming more and more an area of dispute that Canada needs to defend and protect, not just from other countries and other sovereign nations, but from we need to protect it from climate change and recognize the importance that the ice flows and the ice cap, the polar ice cap, has for our world up here north of the 49th parallel. But the big thing for me this weekend was the importance of our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, standing up and saying, I authorized the shooting of that missile to bring down that unidentified object that was in our airspace. And that may seem kind of silly, but it's not. All too often in Canada, we make fun of our politicians, not the same way necessarily as Americans do, but we make fun of them. And Justin Trudeau has been pulled through the knothole backwards several times the last couple of years, between COVID and then the occupation of Parliament Hill a year ago in Ottawa, and the decisions that were made around that. And the fact is, I'm going to give him some credit here. I'm going to back up just for a second. A lot of people listening to the radio and stuff in the States were really angry and frustrated, throwing names and throwing accusations about why didn't President Biden shoot down the Chinese spy plane over the Aleutians, or before it even got there, or over Montana where it would do the least amount of damage. Something interesting is that it was noted that when it did come down over the water, it did come down, but it didn't come down where they projected that it would. So even if they had shot it down over the Aleutians or over Montana, there's quite a possibility that they wouldn't have been able to gauge exactly where it would land. Somebody or some properties could have been damaged. So that's just the thing. But a lot of people are really angry. Why didn't he step up and do something faster? Why did he leave us unprotected? Why did he allow their spying to continue? I imagine there are people thinking the same thing about Justin Trudeau. Why didn't he order that we pull that thing down when it was over Canada? Why didn't Canadians even hear about it when it was over Canada? Now, there would be some who would like you to believe that we didn't know about it. I don't believe that. I think we did know about it. I think we were very aware of it. Canada may be kind of the hey, haw, shucks, how you doing, eh, kind of country, but we're not unintelligent. And our intelligence world does its job well. We have assets that we don't talk about. We have people who are trained to do things that we've never even imagined, because we are a nation, and we're a leading nation in the world. And we just don't talk about it enough. And we maybe aren't, I'm not saying like make Canada, Canada's number one. I don't like that rah-rahing for, pushing things for us. But Canada is a wonderful country. We have universal health care, and we have employment insurance. We have education. We have wonderful education resources. Do enough people access them? No. Are they exorbitantly expensive? They're getting there. But we have access to education. We have access to incredible clean water if we are to take good care of it. And if we were to take care of it and exercise good stewardship of it and be smarter about the way we deal internationally with it, we would be in better shape. But Canada is not just a backwater little nation that's like, hey, our little buddies to the north that we always take care of. We are a nation that I believe is emerging. And over the next 100, 150 years, we will grow even larger. Our technologies will get better. I think that Canada will emerge on the world stage as a country to be reckoned with if we are not already. The Canadians, I think, will have to catch up with that. But the thing is, do I believe that Justin Trudeau wasn't aware of the fact that that original spy balloon was floating over Canada? Absolutely not. Do I believe that he was consulting with and being advised by the best people in our military and in our intelligence worlds to help him to know what to do? Absolutely. Do I believe he was in contact with American compatriots who were doing the same thing? Yep, I do. Because I trust that part of having a leader and having a government in place for us allows us to know that we are being taken care of. And just like our parents parents don't tell their 5-year-olds how the finances are, and they don't explain to them how the electricity works. They just don't say, don't stick your finger in a socket. I'm not trying to downplay the citizens of a country, but what I am trying to say is there are things that are way above our pay grade that we cannot understand. And that when we get a little bit of the information, we panic. If this all had happened with the Chinese spy plane and all of these things happening, if this had happened before social media, we may never have known about it and we wouldn't have been any the worse for it. But because we have such things as social media and instant communication, people get to know something and then they make something up if they don't know enough. And I think maybe sometimes we just need to put our trust in our governments, whether you like them or not, whether you're a progressive conservative or a liberal, a new Democrat, whether you are, hardcore right wing, hardcore left wing, a Republican, a Democrat in the States, whatever you might be. Sometimes we just need to recognize we don't have all the information, and it's okay that we don't. If we did, we'd probably be paralyzed, not knowing what to do with that information or the implications of it. Sometimes it's okay to be ignorant, meaning out of the loop, not understanding, not knowing, as long as we believe and know that there are people out there who do. And so my hat is off to Justin Trudeau and to Joe Biden. My hat is off to the fighter jets and NORAD and all of those places and people around both our countries who work so hard to keep us safe and who recognize that top secret, there's a reason for it. And that maybe Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, maybe we just don't need to know the details. Maybe then we could sleep well at night, knowing that we have people we can trust that will ensure that we can sleep well at night. I'm no beau, and I don't know all the ins and outs, but that's my take as a Canadian on how maybe we should stop distrusting politicians just because they're politicians and start trusting those people who have devoted themselves to the office they hold. So, my prayers are with Justin Trudeau and Joe Biden and all of the people under them who have to make decisions on our behalf. Maybe we should be praying for them instead of railing against them. Have a great day. God bless. I will see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel.